Imagine this. A young athlete, full of dreams, steps onto the baseball field. In a split second, a bat slips from a teammate's hands, striking him squarely in the face. His life changes in an instant. That young man was James Clear. From tragedy, he transformed into a renowned author and speaker. Welcome to Narrative Society. Today, we're exploring Atomic Habits by James Clear, a book that shows how tiny changes can lead to massive results. You might wonder why some people achieve their goals effortlessly while others struggle. The answer is in habits, the small daily improvements that compound over time. Clear teaches us how to make 1% better decisions every day, master the science of habits, and use simple strategies like the 2-minute rule to make new habits stick. Plus, he emphasizes the power of identity, becoming the person you want to be, one small action at a time. Stick with us to learn how you can reshape your life through the power of small habits. Welcome again to Narrative Society. If you find this video valuable, don't forget to subscribe and join our community of lifelong learners. They say success is not about doing one thing right. It's about doing thousands of small things slightly better. In Atomic Habits, James Clear introduces a powerful idea, the 1% rule. It's simple. If you can get just 1% better each day, the results don't add up. They multiply. At first, the changes are barely noticeable. You may not even feel them, but over time, they stack. And by the end of the year, you're not just a little better, you're 37 times better. Think about it. If you were to improve just a little bit every day, 1%, it doesn't feel like much in the moment, but habits are the interest of self-improvement. Just like money multiplies through compound interest, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. This is the reason why small changes matter. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Your current habits are perfectly designed to deliver your current results. If you want better results, forget about setting goals. Focus on your system instead. Fix the inputs, and the outputs will fix themselves. This is the hidden force behind success. We often admire people who seem to achieve greatness overnight, but the truth is, their journey was built on tiny, consistent actions, not dramatic breakthroughs, not intense effort for a short time, but rather showing up every day and making marginal gains. Let's take an example. Imagine two people, both want to get in shape. One decides to make a huge change, 2-hour workouts, a strict diet, and no days off. The other commits to a 10-minute walk daily. After a week, the first person might look more impressive, but after 3 months, the second person is still walking. The first person probably burned out. That's the power of compounding. And here's the interesting part. Bad habits compound too. Eating one unhealthy meal won't make you unhealthy, but doing it every day will. Skipping a workout doesn't ruin your health, but skipping regularly does. Time magnifies whatever you feed it. Good habits make time your ally. Bad habits make time your enemy. This brings us to the core of Atomic Habits, the habit loop. James Clear simplifies the science of how habits work into a 4-step pattern: cue, craving, response, and reward. This cycle is always running in the background. It's how your brain builds automatic behaviors. It all starts with the cue. The cue is what triggers your brain to begin a behavior. It's a bit of information that predicts a reward. For example, your phone buzzes. That's a cue. It tells your brain there might be something interesting, a message, a like, a new post, so you check it. Then comes the craving. This is the motivation behind the habit. You don't crave the phone itself, you crave the feeling it gives you: connection, entertainment, distraction. The craving is what drives you to act. The third step is the response. This is the actual behavior you perform. It can be a thought or an action. In this case, picking up the phone and opening the app. Whether you follow through depends on how motivated you are and how much friction there is. Finally, there's the reward. This is the end goal, the benefit you gain. Maybe you feel connected or entertained. The reward teaches your brain whether to remember this habit loop in the future. If the reward is satisfying, your brain decides it's worth repeating. Cue, craving, response, reward. This loop is how all habits form. Every time you go through it, the connection becomes stronger. That's why habits become automatic. You don't think about brushing your teeth, or tying your shoes, or unlocking your phone. Your brain has learned the loop, and now runs it effortlessly. Understanding this pattern is the first step to changing behavior. If you want to build a good habit, make the cue obvious, make the craving attractive, make the response easy, make the reward satisfying. Let's say you want to build a reading habit. Start by making the cue obvious. Place your book on your pillow. That way, every night, you see it before bed. Make the craving attractive. Choose books you're genuinely interested in. Make the response easy. Just read one page. That's all, and make the reward satisfying. Maybe track your streak or enjoy a small treat after reading. On the flip side, to break a bad habit, you do the opposite. Make the cue invisible. Make the craving unattractive. Make the response difficult. Make the reward unsatisfying. If you spend too much time on social media, hide your phone in another room. Make the app icons less colorful. Log out each time so it's harder to access, and remind yourself how it made you feel drained or distracted. The point is this: habits are not destiny, they are systems. Systems you can shape, change, and rebuild. Then here's something else. Your brain wants to save energy. That's why it loves habits. They allow it to operate on autopilot, but that also means it doesn't care if the habit is good or bad. It only cares if the loop works. If the reward satisfies the craving, the habit stays. That's why so many bad habits stick. But when you understand the loop, you can hack it. James Clear shares a story of a man who lost over 100 pounds. He did it not by setting a big weight loss goal, but by focusing on becoming the type of person who doesn't miss workouts. He started by driving to the gym every day, but only staying 5 minutes. Eventually, he built the identity of someone who never skips the gym. The habit loop, once set, made the rest easier. This is how small changes lead to big results. 1% better every day. One loop at a time. One system replaced. One identity reinforced. Change doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen moment by moment, habit by habit, loop by loop. The 1% rule isn't just about improvement, it's about belief. The belief that tiny steps done consistently can lead to something extraordinary. In 2003, British cycling was in a state of mediocrity. The team had won only a single gold medal in the Olympic Games since 1908, and no British cyclist had ever won the Tour de France. The situation was so dire that top European bike manufacturers hesitated to sell equipment to the team, fearing association with consistent underperformance. That year marked a turning point with the appointment of Dave Brailsford as performance director. Brailsford introduced a revolutionary approach, the aggregation of marginal gain. The philosophy was straightforward. If you improve every aspect of performance by just 1%, the cumulative effect would lead to significant overall improvement. The team began by making small, expected adjustments, redesigning bike seats for comfort, rubbing alcohol on tires for better grip, and using biofeedback sensors to monitor athletes' responses to workouts. They tested various fabrics in wind tunnels and had riders switch to lighter, more aerodynamic indoor racing suits. But Brailsford's team didn't stop there. They sought improvements in overlooked areas, testing different massage gels for faster muscle recovery, hiring a surgeon to teach riders proper hand-washing techniques to reduce illness, and determining the optimal type of pillow and mattress for each rider to ensure quality sleep. They even painted the inside of the team truck white to spot dust that could degrade bike performance. These numerous small improvements led to extraordinary results. By the 2008 Beijing Olympics, British cycling won 60% of the gold medals available. In 2012, they set 9 Olympic records and 7 world records. That same year, Bradley Wiggins became the first British cyclist to win the Tour de France, followed by teammate Chris Froome's victories in subsequent years. Over a decade, from 2007 to 2017, British cyclists amassed 78 world championships and 66 Olympic or Paralympic gold medals. This transformation from mediocrity to dominance illustrates the profound impact of small, consistent changes. James Clear. The success of British cycling under Brailsford's leadership demonstrates that focusing on incremental improvements in every facet of performance can lead to extraordinary outcomes. Imagine standing at the base of a massive mountain, determined to reach the summit. You can see the peak, but the climb looks impossible. That's how most people feel when they try to build a new habit. The goal feels too big, too far away, and they quit before they even begin. But what if the journey didn't start with a climb? What if it started with something so small, so easy, that you couldn't say no? That's where the 2-minute rule comes in. James Clear explains this principle with sharp clarity in Atomic Habits. It goes like this. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. That's it. Just 2 minutes. Because if something only takes 2 minutes, it doesn't feel overwhelming. It doesn't activate resistance. Your brain won't try to talk you out of it. Want to start reading more books? Don't commit to finishing a chapter. Don't say you'll read for an hour. Just open the book and read 1 page. 1 page, that's it. Because once you read 1 page, you'll likely read 2, maybe 5, maybe 10. But the rule isn't about reading more, it's about showing up. Clear explains that habits are not about outcomes. They're about identity. The goal isn't to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. And readers read, even if it's only for 2 minutes. The 2-minute rule helps you cross the line between intention and action. Let's take another example. You want to start exercising. Instead of promising yourself an hour at the gym, just change into your workout clothes. That's it. Don't even commit to a full workout. Just put on the clothes. It sounds silly, but it's incredibly effective, because the hardest part of any habit is getting started. The rule works because it removes friction. The idea of a 30-minute jog might feel exhausting, but putting on your shoes, easy. Standing at your front door, easy. And once you're there, you're much more likely to step outside. That's the trick. You're not trying to finish the habit. You're just trying to begin. This approach is especially useful when willpower is low. After a long day, when your energy is drained, your brain resists effort. But it doesn't resist tiny effort. Brushing your teeth doesn't feel like a task. Neither should the beginning of your new habit. Want to journal every day? Just open your notebook and write 1 sentence. Want to meditate? Sit down and take 1 deep breath. That's all. Want to eat healthier? Put one piece of fruit in your bag. Not a full meal plan, just one apple. These are what James Clear calls gateway habits. Small actions that lead to larger behaviors. They don't achieve the result directly, but they create momentum. Once the engine is running, it's easier to keep going. And here's something subtle. The 2-minute rule isn't about tricking yourself. It's about being honest with how behavior works. We often overestimate motivation and underestimate friction. But real change happens when the barrier to action is almost invisible. People often fail to build habits not because they're lazy, but because they try to be perfect from the start. They think building a habit means doing something big, impressive, or intense. But perfection is a trap. Consistency is what counts. Clear explains that every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. The 2-minute rule helps you cast those votes even on your worst days, especially on your worst days. Because the day you don't want to do it is the day that counts the most. Let's go deeper. Imagine you want to start writing a novel. That's a big, ambitious goal. The kind of goal that scares people into inaction. So don't start with a novel. Start by opening your laptop, then open your writing app. Then type one sentence, one tiny step at a time. No pressure, no expectation. Some people resist this rule because it feels too small. One sentence won't write a book, they say. But the magic of the 2-minute rule isn't in the result. It's in the routine, the habit of showing up, because you can't improve a habit you never do. You can't fix your form if you never exercise. You can't sharpen your ideas if you never write. You can't read 100 books if you never open the first one. Here's something powerful. Any habit can be broken down to a 2-minute version. Want to cook at home more? Start by filling a pot with water. Want to learn guitar? Just pick it up and tune the strings. Want to stay in touch with friends? Send one message, just one. Eventually, these small acts grow. You'll want to do more, but the key is not to expect more. The rule is not a trick to force yourself into longer sessions. If you stop after 2 minutes, that's okay. The habit has already been built. What matters most is building the ritual, creating the moment when you act. Think of the 2-minute rule as your entry point, like stepping onto the track before a race, like tuning your instrument before a performance. It doesn't look like the goal, but it makes the goal possible. Clear shares the story of a reader who used this rule to lose over 100 pounds. His first habit, going to the gym, but not working out, just showing up. 5 minutes, then go home. That was it. People laughed. It seemed pointless, but he was training something deeper. His identity, he was becoming the kind of person who never missed a workout. That's the deeper truth behind the rule. It's not about doing more. It's about becoming more. A reader, a runner, a writer, an artist. The identity forms when the habit is repeated, and the habit is repeated when the start is easy. So whatever goal you're chasing, whatever habit you're trying to build, shrink it until it takes less than 2 minutes. Then do it. Day after day. Let time do its work. Let identity take root. Let momentum grow. Because big things don't start big. They start tiny. They start invisible. They start with 2 minutes. Walk into a room, and it quietly shapes your behavior. Without saying a word, your environment pushes you toward action or inaction. You reach for a snack because it's there on the table. You scroll through your phone because it's right next to your hand. You watch TV not because you plan to, but because the remote was within reach and the couch was calling. This is the silent power of environment. James Clear, in Atomic Habits, explains that behavior is often not a result of motivation or discipline. It's a result of context. We do not rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. And one of the most important systems shaping our daily behavior is the space around us. The key then is to design that space with intention, to make your environment an ally, not a trap. Because if you want better habits, you need a better environment. Think of your environment as an invisible hand guiding your choices. Most people don't realize how much influence their surroundings have. You eat more when the kitchen is cluttered. You study less when your desk is a mess. You waste time when your phone is always buzzing beside you. But you can flip the script. Start with this principle. Make the cues for your good habits obvious and reduce the friction for taking action. Want to eat healthier? Don't bury the fruits and vegetables in the crisper drawer. Put them at eye level. Place a bowl of fresh fruit on the kitchen counter. Want to drink more water? Leave a full glass on your desk or bedside table. The easier it is to see, the more likely you are to do it. Clear gives a perfect example. When a hospital cafeteria changed the way drinks were arranged, placing water at more accessible spots and soda in the back, people began choosing water more often, even though the choices themselves didn't change. The environment nudged better decisions, not through force, just by design. Want to practice guitar more? Don't keep it in the closet. Put it on a stand in the living room. Want to read more books? Don't leave them shut away in a drawer. Place one on your pillow, so it's the last thing you see before bed. Want to write more? Open your laptop, keep your writing app up, and remove distractions from the space where you work. The idea is simple. Make the good habit the path of least resistance. Likewise, make bad habits harder to access. Clear calls this inversion. If you want to cut down on screen time, keep your phone in another room. If you want to avoid junk food, don't keep it in the house. If you want to stop watching so much TV, unplug the television or remove the batteries from the remote. Create friction. Add steps. Delay gratification. Environment design also works on a larger scale. Entire cities and schools are shaped by habit-friendly or habit-unfriendly systems. A city with bike lanes promotes cycling. A school with fresh food in the cafeteria promotes better eating. A workplace with open, well-lit spaces may promote creativity and collaboration. But you don't need a government policy to shape your personal environment. You just need awareness and a little creativity. Your home, your workspace, even your digital space, all of it can be optimized. Start small. Think about the habits you want to form, and ask, how can I make this action more obvious, easier, and more rewarding in my physical space? Let's say you want to start journaling every night. Keep your journal and pen on your pillow. When you lie down, it's already there. The environment makes the choice effortless. Or you want to floss every night. Don't keep the floss in a drawer. Put it right next to your toothbrush, in a clear container. Every time you brush, you see it. Want to practice a new language? Set your phone's wallpaper to a vocabulary word of the day. Stick notes on your mirror. Make your environment speak your goal back to you. This isn't about being rigid. It's about being intentional. The environment is a kind of silent partner in every habit you build or break, and often it decides for you. Clear shares another story, one about a man who lost over 100 pounds not by overhauling his willpower, but by changing his environment. He redesigned his home so the cues for good behavior were everywhere. He made healthy meals easy to reach. He kept exercise clothes in visible places. He made junk food invisible. And slowly, his body and identity began to change, not by pushing harder, but by arranging smarter. This approach works because our brains are designed to follow the path of least resistance. If something is easy to start, we'll probably do it. If it's hard to find or do, we'll probably avoid it. So make the actions that align with your goals frictionless. Make them obvious. Make them convenient. Even your digital environment matters. If you want to focus better, delete distracting apps. Use tools like website blockers. Organize your desktop. Remove notifications. Turn your devices into allies instead of temptations. Over time, the environments you build will shape your habits effortlessly. You won't need to rely on motivation because the default choice will already be the right one. And here's something powerful. Your environment also influences your identity. When you walk into a room filled with books, you start to feel like a reader. When your kitchen is clean and stocked with whole foods, you feel like someone who eats well. When your workspace is minimal and focused, you begin to see yourself as someone who gets things done. Design isn't just about behavior, it's about belief. The space around you becomes a reflection of who you want to be and a mirror that reinforces that identity day after day. So take a walk around your space. Look at your kitchen, your bedroom, your office, your phone. What habits are these places encouraging? Which ones are they quietly sabotaging? Change one thing, move one item, shift one cue. You don't need to do it all at once. Start with a drawer, a table, a shelf. Because in the end, habits are not just about time or willpower. They're about space. The walls around you can either help you grow or keep you stuck. Design them to set you free. Most people set goals like this. I want to lose weight. I want to write a book. I want to run a marathon. These are outcome-based goals. They focus on what you want to achieve. But James Clear in Atomic Habits teaches us something far more powerful, something most people overlook. He calls it identity-based habits. Instead of focusing on what you want to do, ask, who do I want to become? Because the real shift happens not when you achieve a goal, but when you start becoming someone different, someone new, someone better. Outcomes are about what you get. Processes are about what you do. But identity is about what you believe. And long-term change is only possible when it's identity change. Want to lose weight? Don't just try to eat less. Become the kind of person who values health. Want to write a book? Don't just aim for a word count. Become the kind of person who writes every day. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. The goal is not to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. The goal is not to learn a language. The goal is to become someone who learns every day. This might seem small, but it's everything. Because every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. No single action will transform your identity, but as the votes build up, so does the evidence of who you are. Write one sentence, you're a writer. Do one push-up, you're an athlete. Meditate for 1 minute, you're a calm person. Cook a healthy meal. You're someone who takes care of your body. Every time you repeat a behavior, you reinforce the identity associated with that behavior. And eventually, your habits become not just something you do, but who you are. James Clear tells us, true behavior change is identity change. It's hard to keep habits when they conflict with your self-image. You might want to quit smoking, but if you still see yourself as a smoker, it will always be a struggle. Real change comes when you say, I'm not a smoker. That's a statement of identity, not outcome. Let's take two people offered a cigarette. One says, no thanks, I'm trying to quit. The other says, no thanks, I don't smoke. The first still sees smoking as part of who they are. The second has shifted identity, and that makes all the difference. You don't even need to believe it 100% at first. Start with small wins. Let those actions cast votes. Each healthy meal, each workout, each page you read, they're all silent whispers saying, "This is who I am." Over time, the evidence builds, and when you have enough proof, the belief becomes real. Want to become confident? Do things confident people do. Speak up once in a meeting. Hold eye contact a little longer. Each small action is a vote for the identity of someone bold. This is why systems matter more than goals. Goals are about direction. Systems are about becoming. Identity-based habits also protect you from burnout. Because when your actions come from who you are, not just what you want, the process becomes meaningful. You don't write to finish a book. You write because you are a writer. You don't run to cross a finish line. You run because you're a runner. And when the identity is strong, you don't need to force motivation. The habit becomes natural. It becomes a part of you. Let's say you miss a day. You don't spiral, you just return. Why? Because that's who you are. Identity-based habits also change how you interpret failure. If your goal is to run a marathon and you get injured, you may feel like you failed. But if your identity is "I am a runner," you'll find a way back. You'll walk, stretch, recover, and run again. Because that's who you are. The process goes both ways. Just as good habits build identity, bad habits can destroy it. Every time you skip the gym, you're voting for the identity of someone who gives up. Every time you lie, even a small lie, you vote for being a dishonest person. That's why it's so important to be intentional. Identity is the deepest layer of behavior change. It sits beneath outcomes and processes. It answers the question, what kind of person do I want to be? This question shapes everything. And you don't need a grand plan to start. Begin with small, repeated actions. They are enough. Drink a glass of water instead of soda. Vote for being healthy. Read one page before bed. Vote for being a learner. Write one sentence each day. Vote for being a creator. The votes don't have to be perfect. They just need to keep coming. With enough repetition, the identity becomes embedded. And when something becomes part of who you are, it no longer requires effort. It becomes automatic. Clear gives us a clear path. Decide the type of person you want to be. Prove it to yourself with small wins. Build the identity first. Let the outcomes follow. It's not magic, it's math. Tiny actions, compounded over time, shape how you see yourself and how the world sees you. Think about a sculptor. They don't create a statue with one swing. They chip away at the stone, little by little, revealing what's been there all along. Your habits are the chisel. Your identity is the sculpture. So don't chase outcomes. Become someone, because when your habits match your identity, change is no longer something you're trying to do. It's something you are. Most people think they know what Atomic Habits is about. Tiny changes, better habits, self-improvement, but that's only the surface. What lies deeper is a roadmap for transformation, layer by layer, habit by habit, until you become someone new. And if you stay till the end of this video, you won't just walk away with book knowledge, you'll walk away with a mirror. One that shows not who you are, but who you can become. See, most people don't fail because they lack goals. They fail because they lack systems. They try to change everything all at once. But real change? It's quiet. It's invisible at first. It's waking up one day and realizing your choices are no longer a fight. They're a reflection. In the next few minutes, you'll hear stories that don't usually make it to the top 10 summaries of this book. You'll learn how Olympic athletes, best-selling authors, and everyday people made massive shifts by doing less, not more. You'll discover how a messy kitchen, a TV remote, or even a single paperclip can shape your behavior more than motivation ever could. Because Atomic Habits isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters, and doing it better. We're not here to sell you on inspiration. We're here to hand you the tools. Not just theory, but techniques. Not just advice, but actions. Step-by-step ways to rewire the small things that lead to big outcomes. You'll learn how your environment silently pushes you toward failure or success. You'll learn how to make good habits stick and bad ones disappear. And you'll see how identity is not something you're born with. It's something you build. There's a story in this book about a man who used a simple visual system, moving paper clips from one jar to another, to build $1 million career in sales. That's the kind of surprising practical wisdom waiting ahead. You'll hear how British cycling went from a laughingstock to dominating the world stage, not by training harder, but by changing the shape of their bike seats, the massage gel they used, and the pillows they slept on. Marginal gains, tiny, almost invisible changes, compounded into Olympic gold. This video won't just tell you about the 1% rule. It'll show you how to use it today on your goals, your habits, your mindset. You'll get the science behind why habits work, how they form, and why most people get stuck in the same cycles without realizing the invisible patterns they've built. We'll break down the habit loop, cue, craving, response, reward, not just as a concept, but as a tool, a way to identify the roots of your behaviors, change the triggers, and reshape your actions from the inside out. You'll also learn the power of friction, not willpower, not discipline, just smart design. How moving your phone to another room can save your focus. How putting a book on your pillow can double your chances of reading. You'll see how to use the 2-minute rule to start anything from writing to working out without dreading the effort. Every idea is backed by real-world examples. Every method can be practiced today. Because that's the heart of this video. It's not just a review, it's a guide, an action plan, a nudge to stop waiting for motivation and start building systems that don't rely on it. We know attention is precious. That's why everything ahead is crafted to give you clarity, not clutter, no fluff, just the strongest insights presented with emotion, logic, and stories that stay with you. This is about breaking the myth that you need a huge moment to make a huge change. You don't. You just need small wins, repeated consistently, stacked over time. You need patience and a plan. And here's the promise. If you stay till the end, you'll understand how to make that plan your own. You'll be able to walk into your room and immediately see what needs to change. You'll be able to reflect on your current habits and trace the identity they're reinforcing, and most of all, you'll know where to begin. Because the beginning is always the hardest part, and Atomic Habits makes it easier than you think. We'll give you the real steps, the ones that aren't always mentioned, like habit stacking, anchoring a new habit to one you already have. Want to meditate? Do it after brushing your teeth. Want to write? Do it after you drink your morning coffee. One habit becomes the trigger for another. That's the architecture of behavior. That's how change becomes automatic. And if you've ever felt like you just aren't disciplined or don't have the motivation, this video will explain why that belief is holding you back. Not because you're weak, but because your system is broken, and broken systems produce broken results. No matter how strong your willpower is, but with the right system, you don't need to push yourself every day. Your habits will pull you instead. Imagine waking up in the morning and wanting to go for a walk. sitting at your desk and feeling ready to write. That's not motivation. That's momentum, built by design. The tools you'll learn can change how you manage time, health, focus, energy, even relationships. Because habits are not just about routines, they're about the type of life you build, minute by minute. Most people watch videos and forget them, but this one is built to stay with you, to live in your decisions, to echo in your actions. And every time you put one insight into motion, you'll feel it. A subtle shift, a new direction. We know you're busy. We know your attention could go anywhere. But if you give us your time, we'll give you something more powerful. A way out of the old you. The version of you that starts but doesn't finish. The one that sets goals but loses track. The one that wants to change but doesn't know how. That version doesn't have to stay. This video will show you how to let it go and how to build something stronger in its place. So keep watching. Not because we said so, but because your future is waiting at the other end, and every second you invest here is a vote for that future. Let's build it step by step, brick by brick, habit by habit. You're closer than you think. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with something to take action on right now. This isn't just another watch and forget moment. Let's make this real. Here's a simple yet powerful exercise to start transforming your habits. The 2-minute habit challenge. Pick one habit you want to develop and make it so small that it takes less than 2 minutes to start. But here's the twist. It's not about perfection. It's about the first step. The habit is simply to begin. For example, if you want to read more, commit to reading 1 page a day. If you want to work out, start by just putting on your workout clothes and standing in place for 30 seconds. If you want to start writing, your habit is to write just 1 sentence. Once you do this, take a moment to feel the small victory. That's where the magic happens. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to start. And here's where I challenge you. Share your first step in the comments below. What 2-minute habit did you start today? Let's support each other in this journey of growth. You're not alone in this. Together we'll make small improvements every day. And before you know it, we'll all be 37 times better by this time next year. Remember, consistency is key. And today, you've taken the first step. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and join us again for more life-changing content. Keep pushing forward, and let's build those habits together.